Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something absolutely critical in our digital lives. Trust. I mean, think about it. We've got deepfakes popping up everywhere, data breaches almost seem normal now, and cyber scams. Well, they're just relentless.
They really are.
So trust isn't something you can just assume anymore. It's this incredibly valuable thing that has to be earned, constantly protected, and often rebuilt pretty much in real time. Our mission today, we're going to dive deep into the sources, figure out why this digital trust is crumbling, and more importantly, pull out some concrete communication strategies companies can actually use, like right now, to win back your confidence. We need to reverse what some sources are calling a major trust deficit.
And we really need to start with just how big this problem is, the data. Honestly, it signals a huge risk for a lot of companies out there. If you needed a wake-up call, try this on for size. Our sources show a staggering 85% of consumers ditched at least one brand in the last year.
85%.
Yeah, 85. Specifically because of trust issues.
Wow. Just think about the market value that represents. That's not just some number on a page. It's a direct hit to loyalty, to whether a brand even sticks around.
Absolutely. And look, the threats, they're just getting worse, faster. Digital fraud, cyber scams, they jumped 18% in just the first half of 2024.
18%. That's huge.
It is. And it hits differently in different places. Like in Singapore, 22% of people said their trust dropped just because their personal data got breached. So people aren't just losing data, they're losing faith. Faith in the systems meant to protect them.
Okay, let's unpack that. What's actually causing this? We always hear about the big hacks, the ones that make headlines.
Right.
But the sources suggest it's broader than that, right? It's not just about one big failure. What are the specific things shaking people's confidence day to day?
Well, yeah, you're right. Trust doesn't just disappear after a successful attack. It gets worn down by all the attempts, the vulnerabilities people hear about constantly. The materials we looked at point to three main things driving the current threat landscape.
Okay, lay them out for us. Maybe keep it simple for those of us not deep in the tech weeds.
Sure. So first, you've got system intrusions. These account for something like 80% of breaches across Asia-Pacific.
80%. And what is a system intrusion, basically?
It's essentially someone getting unauthorized access, like bypassing the normal defenses. Think exploiting software that hasn't been updated, finding a back door, maybe using stolen login details to get into company systems. They're kind of the silent threat.
Got it. Okay, what's number two?
Second, ransomware is still a really big deal. It's involved in about 51% of attacks globally. These are the ones you hear about locking down hospital systems, city governments, really nasty stuff.
Right, the lockdowns. But the third one you mentioned, social engineering.
Yeah.
That feels like where the tech problem really crashes into, well, us. Human behavior.
Precisely. Social engineering, phishing emails, people impersonating someone else, those scammy texts or malware links, that's still a massive way attackers get in. So you've got this dual weakness.
Dual weakness, meaning?
Meaning you've got technical flaws, yes, in the security systems themselves, but you've also got human behavior. People clicking the bad link, reusing that weak password, just getting tricked by a convincing email.
Which makes rebuilding trust. Well, it's a double challenge, isn't it? You need the better tech, the better cybersecurity for sure.
Definitely.
But you also desperately need better communication. If we're part of the problem, how do companies talk their way back into our good graces? Seems like they need a whole new strategy.
Yeah, and that's the fascinating shift the sources point to. Rebuilding trust isn't just about, stronger firewalls anymore. It's fundamentally about transparency and how you talk to people. The old way was reactive PR.
Right, the damage control playbook.
Exactly. Something bad happens, you put out some vague statement, maybe apologize a bit. The new thinking is that communication itself has to be like a core part of being resilient. It's a tool to manage risk.
Okay, so how does that work in practice? The sources break this down into, three main communication approaches. I think the first one is probably the one we see most often, though maybe not always done well. Breach notifications.
Yeah, breach notifications. They absolutely have to be timely, like fast. They need to be honest, no sugarcoating, and they must clearly explain what the company is doing to fix things, the remedial actions.
So substance over just saying sorry.
Absolutely. A notification that just says, oops, something happened, our bad, is basically useless. You need to explain what data was potentially exposed and, crucially, how you're fixing the root cause so it doesn't happen again.
Okay, so that's reacting better. But you mentioned being proactive. What's the second step? This sounds like where companies can actually earn trust back instead of just managing crises.
That's proactive disclosure. It means companies confidently sharing what security measures they already have in place, maybe highlighting specific certifications they've earned. It's about proving you're serious about security before anything goes wrong.
So showing your homework, basically.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. It changes the dynamic. Instead of customers feeling scared about what might happen, you build their confidence because they see you're prepared. And aligning with tough regulations helps here, too.
How so?
Well, take Singapore's MAS, the Monetary Authority. They have these cyber hygiene notices. When a company says, look, we meet these standards, it's not just ticking a box. It tells customers you're following best practices. That speaks volumes, often louder than marketing fluff.
Makes sense. And the third strategy, you said it loops back to the human weakness part.
Right. Continuous customer education. Empowering users by constantly communicating with them, sending out alerts about new scams going around, giving really simple, actionable tips on passwords, things like that.
Okay.
It shows the company sees you, the customer, not just as data, but as a partner in staying secure. It elevates communication from just PR to, well, part of how the business actually operates safely.
But wait a second. Don't people just get tired of that? Like security fatigue, constant alerts, tips. Do people actually pay attention, or do they just hit delete as soon as they see security update in the subject line?
That's a really critical point. And you're right, if the communication is just noise or too technical, it backfires. The sources really stress that this education has to be actionable and relevant.
Yeah.
Meaning, instead of some generic email blast about password complexity, maybe a company uses an alert right inside their app. You know, hey, there's a new threat affecting services like ours. Click here to update your password now. It's specific, it's timely, it feels relevant to me. That's what drives engagement. It's about empowering, not lecturing.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But this transparency thing, it leads to a tricky question, doesn't it? We're saying be proactive, be transparent, but is more always better? The sources brought up this whole debate about disclosing near misses.
Yes. The near misses.
Right, when a company almost got breached, but they stopped it. Should they tell people? I mean, for a lot of companies, talking about security incidents, even averted ones, feels like a massive risk. Are we asking them to potentially spook customers or give competitors info just to seem trustworthy?
That's exactly the tightrope walk. You're balancing the potential hit to your image or maybe revealing too much against the long-term gain in credibility. There are definitely two sides to it.
What's the argument for disclosing a near miss?
Well, the pro argument is that being upfront about a near miss, if you handle it right, can actually build serious credibility. It shows your defenses worked. You're basically saying, look, someone tried, but we were ready. It demonstrates maturity and resilience.
Okay. I can see that. But the downside?
The downside is if you don't handle it carefully, it could totally backfire. People might just hear attack and almost breached and panic. Or it could attract unwanted attention from regulators or even other attackers.
Yeah, sounds like a potential PR nightmare if you mess it up.
Yeah.
The public might not get the nuance. They just hear your data was almost gone.
Exactly. The communication skill needed there is pretty immense. If you do disclose a near miss, you can't just say, we stop an attack. You have to immediately follow up. Explain how the defense worked, what you learned, and why the system is even stronger now. You have to frame it as a success story, proof of competence.
So it takes real confidence and maybe strong leadership to take that risk publicly.
Definitely. If you can't frame that success clearly, the risk probably outweighs the benefit for many.
So zooming out a bit, it feels like long-term trust isn't just about security updates and breach notices. It goes deeper, right? Like to the company's core values.
Absolutely. The sources are clear on this. Long-term trust is built on more than just ticking compliance boxes. It connects to the brand's values, ethical leadership, and actions that show commitment beyond just protecting their own bottom line.
You mean things like corporate social responsibility, CSR initiatives?
Exactly. Especially if those initiatives tackle digital issues. For instance, a company supporting digital literacy programs or funding cybersecurity education for the public. That shows they care about the whole ecosystem, not just their own servers.
So it signals a broader commitment to consumer protection, to digital well-being.
Precisely. Those kinds of actions build a sort of trust reserve. It makes the company seem like part of the solution, not just another entity trying to protect its assets. That's foundational for keeping trust over the long haul.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. What we've really unpacked today is that trust in this digital age is this incredibly valuable, but also incredibly fragile asset. Protecting it needs everything from strong tech systems to, crucially, communication that is honest, transparent, and really proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And companies that start treating communication less like PR spin and more like a fundamental part of how they operate safely, well, they're the ones who might actually reverse that scary 85% abandonment rate we started with.
Yeah, and reputation isn't fixed with one apology or one slick campaign. The sources really hammer this home. Trust is a system, not just a statement. It gets rebuilt day by day through, let's say, 3 key things: honest, clear communication, safety measures customers can actually see working, and leaders who visibly make consumer protection a priority. It's that whole integrated approach you need now.
So the final thought for you listening. What does all this mean for you? If trust really is a system, not just words, what specific tangible safety measure should you look for next time you're deciding whether to stick with a brand or walk away? Don't just listen to how they apologize. Look for the proof. Are they educating you? Are they showing you their security credentials before things go wrong? The real answer is probably in their actions, not just their carefully crafted emails.
Well said. Until next time.
Take care, everyone.